My name is DJ Nabs. Some people call me Nabisco. Some say in the lab with DJ Nabs. Some just say Nabs. But that's me, originally from Durham, North Carolina, but moved to Atlanta in the late 80s and got my first professional break with Crisscross as their DJ. You know, in the 80s, I was influenced like everyone else was with hip-hop, you know, breaking. The movie came out. I was in North Carolina, so I was close enough to New York where the mixtapes would make their way, you know, to where I lived. And I would hear, you know, Marley Marl and Red Alert and DJ Cheese. And so, you know, I couldn't break dance. I tried to rap. None of those worked. Definitely didn't do graffiti. But DJing, something about it connected. So I was in the 10th grade when I decided that hip-hop was something I was going to do. I met the original Roxanne in Durham at a skating rink. I want to say it was Wheels. And she was performing with CD3, and DJ Howie T was their DJ. So I experienced hip-hop live for the first time at a roller skating rink in Durham, North Carolina. I saw it, and I knew that if I practiced, that could be me. I remember how I got my first set of turntables. First of all, I got one turntable. My father bought it for me at a pawn shop, and so I learned how to scratch. I had a mixer, one turntable. I did not have another turntable, so I didn't really know how to mix first. I learned how to scratch first, which to this day is kind of my signature thing. I was doing what everyone else was doing around me, making mixtapes, doing house parties for $50. Eventually, I made my way to North Carolina State's radio station, WKNC, with a guy named Waxmaster Tory. He had a show on that station. And I was competitive, and I was trying to out-scratch any DJ around me, and Waxmaster Tory recognized it, and he put me on the radio first. So that was once, you know, if you're on the radio and you're in high school, you're a big deal. So I was a big deal. I ain't had no money, but I was a big deal because I was on the radio. I moved to Atlanta at, I guess, the right time. And in '88, everybody I knew was making their way to New York, but a friend of mine brought me to Atlanta to DJ his party. So I kind of caught things on the come up. My break really came through my relationship with Speech and Headliner, who were in a group called Secret Society at that time. They eventually got a deal and became Arrested Development and released a single called Tennessee. I remixed that single, met Michael Martin, who was Jermaine Dupri's father. And Jermaine, I kind of had met in passing when he had JV and the Straight Jackets and another group called Silk Times Leather. So Arrested Development and Jermaine's new group, Crisscross, were being managed by Jermaine's dad. So that was really the connection. I really knew of Jermaine. Jermaine knew of me, but I really had a relationship with Arrested Development, and that led to me being a DJ for Crisscross. Atlanta at that time, you know, bass music was big, coming out of Miami. So eventually Atlanta had its own sound with bass music, and we called it A-Town Bass. We were mixing slow records with fast records, which metamorphosized into records like My Boo and Shawty Swing My Way. So that was kind of the sound, but, you know, Atlanta had not really locked into what we would know Atlanta to be now. So we had lots of different things. So I think that Crisscross, Arrested Development, and TLC, all being from Atlanta and having huge pop success, brought attention to Atlanta. But Atlanta still had MC Shy D, Raheem the Dream, D-Rock, the J-Team, which consisted of people like DJ Smurf, who people would know him as Mr. College Park now. So Atlanta was just a diverse scene here then, and definitely in terms of hip-hop, it still was just trying to find its way. So just diverse is the best way I can describe Atlanta when I first moved here. My mom was incredible because, listen, when I was a kid, you didn't really know hip-hop was going to be a career, but she supported me. You know, I just continued to go to school, and I worked a job, and I tried to do everything I could, but I started making a little bit of money in high school and actually helping my mother. So, you know, she just left me alone in my room to practice. So she didn't know I was going to be crisscross as DJ and be on Michael Jackson tour and be on Soul Train and Arsenio Hall, all those things that were big back in the day. So, I mean, neither did I, but she was very supportive. And my dad was too. He was just, he's a different type of support. Here's the turntable. Don't bother me, kid. The gift is longevity, but the bad part, I would say, is how much we're overlooked. Even in today's time where you got huge DJs, you still have the majority of DJs, hard-working, talented DJs, are not recognized. And, so that's always something, because, we're trying to make money from this. So the more we recognize and acknowledge, the better chance we have to get good gigs, endorsements, et cetera, et cetera. So we need those. So, hip-hop radio stations popping up all over the country in the mid-'90s, and even, continuing to with now and satellite, all helps us. But it's still, the balance is still there. The DJ is still overlooked. So you got to really, really work hard to be recognized. And especially now with people that are claiming to be DJs when they're just jukeboxes. They're just, here's a laptop, they have records. We're dealing with that. We're dealing with the celebrity getting high-profile gigs and endorsements. So it's still a challenge. I'm 25, maybe 30 years in this game, and it's still got to work hard. I never looked at DJing as anything other than an art. I didn't even connect a radio DJ to a DJ I saw on TV or heard on records, because I connected with Jam Master Jay, Mixmaster Ice from UTFO, again, my childhood heroes, Grandmaster Flash, etc. Definitely some more in that list. But I saw what they did as an art. The radio DJ, they were playing records, they were speaking. I never, if you listen to them on the radio, I didn't see what they were doing. Later, I understood the profile that a radio DJ had, and then becoming a radio DJ myself, I brought my art with me. So I always looked at DJing as an art form from day one, almost blindly. I didn't know it was anything, it can be considered anything other than. I'm so proud of the records I was able to perform on, the television shows that I'm able to upload to YouTube. That, Don Cornelius is gone, but I can say I was on Soul Train when Don was there. Michael Jackson is gone. I can say that I toured with Michael Jackson. I can upload a record from Dion Farris and say, hey, I was one of the band members on this particular song. That was me doing the scratch on a song that was released in 1995. I can pull out a piece of vinyl with my name on it. More than one piece of vinyl, because it's an era that's gone. So, I'm happy with my work, my body of work, and happy that I'm still here to be able to contribute in this digital era. So I'm part of analog, I'm part of digital, so you can't buy my experience. I think about my legacy all the time. I've been described as a stand-up guy. And it's not because I wanted to be or tried to be. It's just who I am. I try to do what I say I'm going to do. I try to put passion into my work because it is art. So when you see any performance of me back in the day, or you see me now, you find any records that I ever put my hands and talent on, I stand behind like it all 100% because I cared about it. So I'm very grateful for the work and my contribution to hip-hop. I just want to make sure that I'm recognized for what I've done, because I would never take credit from anybody else for what they do. But I want credit for my work. Matter of fact, I demand it. My site is djnabs.com. My documentary is americandjstory.com. FDJs, we are librarians, so to speak, of records and sounds, and I can say that through my footage and experiences over these last years, I've captured about 20-25 years of it on film. So I'm excited to share that documentary, American DJ Story, soon.